This is a special episode of MASL PrimeTime as we wrap up what went down in the Major Arena Soccer League this season. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm Alex Bastyovansky.
A new season ready to begin, the 2019-2020 Major Arena Soccer League kickoff.
Friday, November 22nd was opening day for the 2019-20 MASL campaign, and the next few months would be filled with ridiculous plays.
Oh, what a goal! Woo! Sports Center, are you watching?
Intense battles.
And now we have a fight in front of the Harrisburg bench. Oh boy!
And fascinating storylines. A familiar face would lead the league in scoring.
It could be for the Fury, gonna take around the shot! Score by the king himself, one again, Frank Tayu.
A new power would emerge out east, while out west, a club from south of the border was its usual dominant self. And overall, the margin for error each game day continued to shrink.
You know, when I think back at the 2019-2020 MASL season, what I think about is competitiveness, in that I feel like there were a greater number of teams who on a given night could win any game. And while we did have a couple of teams in the East who only won one game each, when you look out to the West and when you even just look to the 5th, 6th, 7th place teams, there was a lot of competition. Mesquite could go out and roll a win on a given night. Dallas got a lot better at the end of the season. So what you want as a league is eventually to get to that spot of parity, and I think the league, the MASL, got a little bit closer this year.
I mean, this season, more than any others, what I will remember is the parity and how close everybody was together. You had some outliers, some teams that struggled, but the top 3-4 teams were always in play throughout the season. You had some real tight races. And I will also think about the return of some classic rivalries. It was great to see San Diego travel to Baltimore and Milwaukee travel out to San Diego. Some of those great matchups. That game where San Diego visited Baltimore was probably one of the best games of the year. It was a classic arena soccer match. You had two great rivals. There were fights. There was, all kinds of competition all the way through the game. Plenty of goals and a great outcome. There's a couple other things I'm going to remember. The great crowds in Rochester and their return. The team wasn't always all that great on the field, but you couldn't tell because the fans got behind them and the players just played all out. So that was great.
There were some outstanding individual performances. 3-time MASL MVP Frank Tayu made the move from Monterey to Ontario and lived up to his nickname. The King led the league in both goal scoring and points, but there were numerous players hot on his heels that could prevent him from being crowned MVP for a 4th time.
Of course, you got Frank Tayu, who's won it 3 of the 5 years already. Leo Gibson, who's another one of the winners, is out there. Ian Bennett, who I can't believe has never won the MVP. I mean, that man just balls out all the time. So there's a lot of great candidates out there, and what you got to look at is, though, it's the classic argument you and I have talked about it before. Is it the best player for his team or the best player across the league, the most valuable player across the league? So it's going to be some interesting choices out there, and it'll be great to see what the players and the GMs, coaches decide.
San Diego Soccer's play-by-play man, Craig Elston, is going outside the box with his MVP choice, selecting a player that wasn't in the points race, but was essential to his team's success.
If I had a vote for MVP, I would turn to the Beasts of the East, the Florida Tropics, and I would turn to my man, Drew Ruggles. Drew Ruggles is a player who came in as a high-priced free agent. He revamped the team's power play. He created one of the best penalty kills in the entire MASL. He was in the middle of those special teams, a goal-scoring defender who was also a lockdown player that contributed to one of the top defenses in the MASL.
In the Western Conference, it was no surprise to see which team led the way. The Monterey Flash were an absolute powerhouse. The Mexican squad, which finished as league runner-up to the title the previous 2 campaigns, was well on its way to another berth in the finals. Out east, a new super team was born, the Florida Tropics, who were by far the most improved team in the MASL.
I you got to talk about their head coach, Clay Roberts, bringing a group of free agents together, players who really hadn't played together before for the most part, and meshing them quickly and seamlessly into a team. When the Sockers went down to Lakeland to play Florida, I saw a club that played for each other, that played together, defended like hell, and led to their counterattacks, which led to their goal-scoring opportunities. The Tropics, to me, an incredible story. No one would have been surprised or should have been surprised if they lifted the Ron Newman Cup.
The league ended its regular season prematurely on March 12th in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis, with the safety of its players, staff, and fans being of paramount importance. Jeff Husted, who hosts the MASL weekly podcast show, feels that next season, when the players can once again take to the floor, there will be plenty of unfinished business to take care of.
This sets up for an even better next season. So when the 2020-2021 season rolls around, you get teams who, I mean, let's face it, the elephant in the room. There's a lot of unfinished business out there that players and fans and teams have or feel like they have, and they want to go out and prove themselves. There's some positives and negatives to take out of everything, but I think the positive to take out is that next season is going to be competitive. It's going to be exciting from day one all the way through the end of the year.
Okay, let's take a look at the top scorers in the MASL for both points and goals. Here's for points: Frank Taillou leading the way, followed by Leo Gibson, Vinny Dantas, Ian Bennett, Brian Aguilar, and Ricardo Carvalho. In terms of the goal-scoring leaders, it was Mr. Taillou once again leading the way with 47, followed by Ian Bennett, Dantas, Dom Francis of the Harrisburg Heat, Brian Aguilar of the Monterey Flash, and Enrique Cañez of Sonora. Welcome back to our MASL regular season wrap-up for the 2019-20 campaign. We take a look at the Eastern Conference in this segment, a conference which has been dominated by the Milwaukee Wave and Baltimore Blast in recent seasons. Taking a look now at how the standings were when the season ended on March 12th, a new kid on the block emerged as the Florida Tropics held on to first place. Other squads holding down playoff positions were Milwaukee, Utica, and Baltimore. Harrisburg was in striking distance of the Blast for the fourth spot, however, with 2 games in hand.
The Eastern Conference this year was competitive pretty much top to bottom. You had your classic teams in there like Baltimore, Milwaukee. Florida stepped up. They were top of the table pretty much from start to finish this year, so that was exciting. But you had some great battles in there. The Utica-Baltimore series to start this season off was excellent. Then you had Harrisburg and pretty much anybody they played. What Pat Healy has done with that team and with those players is incredible. And they've moved up into the top tier of the league, and especially in the Eastern Conference. And then you had some great comeback. What Kansas City did in Utica City for their last game of the season, after being the first team to lose to Rochester in less than 24 hours and come back from a 6-2 deficit and win in overtime. It's what we want. On any given day, 2 great teams can get together, and whether they're top of the table, middle of the table, or underperforming, you don't know what's going to happen.
The feel-good story out east had to be the emergence of the Florida Tropics as an elite squad, a franchise that had never even qualified for the postseason before.
Everybody knows the Tropics were the most improved team this year. They went out in the offseason, they grabbed free agents, they stocked their team. And I'll admit, I was one of the people who said they've got too many stars there, they've got too many Chiefs in the locker room. and it's going to be tough for them to gel. Coach Clay Roberts out there, though, he found a way to get them together. Even when they had some struggles, when Hugo Silva went down, they brought in Brett Petracek. They were able to keep rolling, and they were, by far the most improved team of the year.
The defending champion Milwaukee Wave were once again extremely strong. Canadian Ian Bennett had an unbelievable year, finishing second in league goal scoring. But they quickly found out that life as the MASL's top dogs isn't all sunshine and lollipops.
The Milwaukee Wave defending champs, and the toughest thing to do, even difficult than winning a championship, is defending a championship. And so they had, I think you've said it before, they had a bullseye right on their chest, and they had teams gunning for them from the get-go. And they faced some difficulties. Before the season even started, they lost their starting goalkeeper, Josh Lemos. And so Rafa Diaz had to step in. Coach Giuliano Olivier was incredible there. You got Ian Bennett and Max Ferdinand to anchor the team. That's going to go a long ways too.
Utica City FC continued to be a dominant force this season. The Adirondack Bank Center was packed with some of the league's most passionate fans, and led by new acquisition Christian Segura, the Blues finished tied for second in the East.
Segura, stepping middle, shoots and scores! Flight number 8 has been cleared for launch. Christian Segura.
Yeah, Utica City, they have completely converted from being the old team in Syracuse. And when they took over and moved to Utica last season, there was an immediate step up in the quality of play, and that goes from the whole atmosphere that is around that Bank Center. And this year they took it another step further. They were expected to win. They weren't the underdogs anymore, and they were able to keep up that pace and really play like championship contenders all year.
One of the more shocking storylines this season was that the Baltimore Blast, Ron Newman Cup champions 3 of the last 4 seasons, were out of a playoff spot for some time. The MASL postseason without the Blast would have seemed unthinkable coming into the campaign. They appeared to be putting it all together, however, before the season ended, having won 5 of their last 6 games.
When you talk about successful teams in the MASL, you can't not talk about the Baltimore Blast. Danny Kelly has put together top caliber roster every year. They're 3-time champs, so that says something in itself. But this year, what they did, being in that middle of the table, was not only a surprise to Baltimore fans, but fans across the league. And I don't think it's anything to do with their players or with Coach Kelly, because they've still got a top-notch team. Vinny Dantas, Vanzella, all those guys, Tony Donatelli. But the rest of the league has stepped up. You've got Harrisburg playing really well. You've got Utica playing really well. And anywhere Baltimore goes, it's not a given that they're going to be able to just take the game.
The Harrisburg Heat made huge strides this campaign. After missing the playoffs last year, Dominic Francis helped propel the Pennsylvania squad into the postseason conversation. He was one of the league's top scorers with 40 points, with Tavoy Morgan filling the score sheet as well. The Heat were chasing Baltimore for the 4th and final playoff spot. Changes were afoot in Kansas City this season as the incomparable Leo Gibson, the 2014-15 MASL MVP, took on the role of player coach.
What Kansas City has had to work with the last couple of years, whether they wanted to admit it or not, they've been in a little bit of a rebuilding mode. This year, Coach Leo Gibson steps up in the player coach role for the first time, and he had to go out and really find some raw talent. And what they did with what they had, I think, whether they will admit it publicly or not, exceeded their expectations. They've got a good new core, a good nucleus that they can build on for the next 10 years.
KC's Missouri rivals, the St. Louis Ambush, finished just a game behind the Comets, with Paulo Nascimento providing solid goaltending and even offensive punch at times, while JT Thomas led the squad with 34 points on the season.
Over to JT, the shot, he scores! The Englishman, JT Thomas, wins it in overtime!
For the Orlando Seawolves, it was a difficult campaign to say the least. The squad notched just a single victory in 20 contests, although having to face the Tropics, their powerful in-state rivals, 5 times, certainly didn't help things much. On the bright side, players like Jeff Michaud provided numerous mind-bending goals throughout the year.
Here's Michaud again. Cuts it back on his left. Oh, he only scores bangers. Jeff Michaud with another top corner strike.
Also finishing with just a single win were the Rochester Lancers. The team made the move up from M2 to the MASL this season, and it was a rough transition, although the squad improved dramatically as the season went on and played before some of the best fans in the league at the Rock Dome, who stuck with them through thick and thin.
Another odd man rush, Wolanski. The shot and a goal! Wolanski to D'Amico!
The games got a lot closer as the team started to gel and started to learn what it's like to play in the big leagues. And then the feel-good story of the year, of course, is they did get their final win in their final home game. So that was kudos to them. Very excited. They weren't the most skilled team on the field at any point this season, but they always believed that they could play with every team that they were out there on the field with. And for 3/4 of every game, it pretty much showed. Now, as we look to next season in the Eastern Conference, you can guarantee that Utica, Milwaukee, they're going to be ready to go and be one of the top talent teams again in the league. But then you look at Harrisburg, who's been on this 2-year trek with Pat Healy. This 3rd year, I think, is going to really turn the corner for them. Kansas City, whether they can keep up the growth that they've had. Baltimore, of course, Danny Kelly, you can never count him out. So they're going to be an exciting team. St. Louis, what Everton's done, bringing in a lot of those players. And he's got a solid goalkeeper. He found a goal-scoring wizard this year in Duduka. And if they bring back Tony Walls. And now that Rochester has a year under them, you'll see them start to climb the table a little bit as well.
Okay, let's give our MASL goalies some love now. Here were the save percentage leaders from the regular season: Rafa Diaz, Chris Toth, William Venzela, William Bonahany, Hugo Silva, and Boris Pardo. In terms of the goals against leaders, it was Hugo Silva leading the way, followed by Rafa Diaz, Venzela, Chris Toth, Andrew Coughlin, and Boris Pardo of the San Diego Sockers. Welcome back to our MASL regular season wrap-up show for the 2019-20 campaign. We take a look at the Western Conference in this segment, the conference which has been controlled by Monterey and San Diego the past few seasons, and Monterey was elite once again this campaign, having wrapped up the conference title when the season ended on March 12th. San Diego sat second. Ontario was coming on strong after a slow start, while the Soles de Sonora held the 4th and final playoff spot.
The Western Conference this year was incredibly competitive to me, but what makes me sad or nostalgic is the storylines were missing, because truly it was coming together to be an amazing finish and playoff. You had Monterey, which rode from start to finish as the top club, but you had the San Diego Sockers playing the hardest schedule in the history of the MASL, and when things shut down 15-6 and really trending upward. And then you look to the Ontario Fury and a club that was coming on like gangbusters after a 2-7 start. Soles de Sonora in the 4th position. Did anyone think it was going to be easy to go down to Hermosillo and to win a game in the playoffs? Only 2 teams did it all year, San Diego and Utica, other than Monterrey going down, a U.S. team going down to win in Mexico. So incredibly competitive, and I thought the playoff storylines were simply sumptuous for this group, and I think there's going to be a lot of folks wondering what could have been.
Monterrey was, in a word, dominant. With a vast array of weapons at its disposal, the Flash racked up a league-best 196 goals and were certainly the favorites to come out of the West.
I think the Monterrey Flash took all the momentum of Team Mexico winning the WMF World Cup in Australia and just rolled it right into the regular season. You have to start with Jaime Luis Borrego, who is got to be, other than Clay Roberts, maybe coaches of the year in the MASL, seamlessly putting his group together. Edgar Torres Gonzalez coming out and just lighting the world on fire, then getting injured. 5 games into the season, Brian Aguiar takes over and just rolls through the league and is a goal-scoring sensation. Miguel Vaca, Captain Clutch. He continues to score the big goals when needed. I think Borrego is the true story of Monterrey. He had that team on all cylinders rolling. They had home field advantage throughout the playoffs and had to be considered the presumptive favorite to win the championship.
After losing just once in the regular season last year, San Diego wasn't quite as flawless this campaign, finishing 15-6. But Craig Elston, who does play-by-play for the Sockers, feels there should perhaps be an asterisk next to that record.
You know, the San Diego soccer season is an unfinished story. It was a story of challenge and travail. No team had ever been asked to play as many quality clubs on the road as the San Diego Sockers were asked to do in 2019-2020. Certainly they lost 6 games instead of 1 the year prior. But when you factor in the difficulty of schedule, I thought that this was a Sockers team that was actually peaking at exactly the right time.
Speaking of peaking, no team was hotter than the Ontario Fury when the regular season ended March 12th. After a slow start to the campaign, the Fury had won 8 of its last 9 contests.
The Ontario Fury looked to be the most disappointing team in the MASL 9 matches in. They were 2-7. They were a tire fire in the clubhouse. Head coach Jimmy Nordberg circled the wagons. He sent Jermaine Jones packing. That's not an easy decision to make. He put the team on the shoulders of Frank Taillou. Frank Taillou delivered his career high in assists, again led the league in goals, and by the end of the year, I will tell you that first round matchup that was set between San Diego and Ontario, Frank Taillou was 5-0 in his career in eliminating San Diego in playoffs. He was hoping to go 6 for 6.
After taking a 1-year hiatus, the Sonora Soles returned to the MASL for 2019-20, and the Soles sported a respectable 11-11 record and held the 4th and final playoff spot out west. While the Florida Tropics were the most improved team in the MASL this season, the Turlock turnaround was impressive as well, as the Express jumped from 3 wins last year to 8 this campaign.
So when I think about this year's Turlock Cal Express, and I know I've talked a lot about head coaches, but you got to talk about Chebo Martinez, because what happened in Central California was a complete change in culture. This was a franchise that was used to being the doormat of the MASL. To go from 3 wins up to 8 to beat San Diego in San Diego for the first time ever, Turlock showed a competitive spirit this year. I think they are a program and a franchise that's ready to step into the rank of contenders next year and going forward.
After making the playoffs last season, the Tacoma Stars took a small step back this campaign. Once again, Nick Pereira was sensational. The Stars player coach and defending league MVP led the squad in scoring again, but the Stars were outside the postseason picture on March 12th.
Yeah, when I look at the Stars season overall, I feel like they were one team that kind of stayed in place as the rest of the clubs got better. Ontario improved, San Diego improved, Monterrey improved. Tacoma kind of kept the same group. Michael Ramos, though, a standout player, had his career high in goals, really stepped forward as the leading goal scorer of the club. Alex Caceres became an excellent third option. But if Tacoma wants to move back into that top four, they probably need to do some addition this offseason.
The Dallas metro area now has 2 teams to support as the Mesquite Outlaws joined the league this season. The Sidekicks have been there for years, but suffered through a rough campaign, racking up just 3 victories. There were several bright spots, however, and Freddie Mugin was a goal-scoring machine for Big D, racking up 21 tallies.
I look at the 2 Texas teams in the MASL Western Conference as both being programs that are trying to rise from below. And in particular, you looked at Tattoo and first-year Mesquite. They put in a defensive philosophy. That team put 5 players behind the ball, and they defended like heck. They were able to beat San Diego on their home floor, and we're coming together. I think there's still some talent to be added, but Mesquite's got a program on the rise.
Of course, players and fans alike will always wonder what could have been due to the early cancellation of the season. But as Craig Elston points out, it's a mouth-watering appetizer for what should be an incredible campaign next year.
Well, I think that the Western Conference next year is going to be absolutely delicious because you've got so many unfinished storylines now. You've got Monterey feeling that there's a crown that they didn't capture. You've got the Sockers feeling like they were on the path to take it, and that path was taken away from them. And Ontario is saying, hey, how about us? We were going to go upset the apple cart and beat everybody and just make it all the way to the Ron Newman Cup final. I think the storylines are in place for next year. You could see 6-7 teams in the Western Conference all fighting for that top 4 spot. But I think the beasts at the top, Monterey and San Diego, that is still a battle we need to see waged.
Go!
Welcome back to our MASL regular season wrap-up show for the 2019-20 campaign. This is our final segment of our final show this year, but we're going out with a bang. Here are the top plays of the year from the 2019-20 regular season.
Oh, nice touch. Charlie to the corner, sliding his Pardo, he stops it twice. Oh, Pardo best for last. 3 great saves in a row.
Another odd man rush, Wolanski. The shot and a goal! Wolanski to D'Amico.
El cobro por parte del Flash, vamos a ver quién es a final de cuentas. 2 toques de balón y una concreción sensacional de Eric Rosas.
Save tonight, and I decided to wear gloves.
Oh, what a goal! Rafa, he's got his 4th, and we're tied at 7.
Back to center, Utica. Back on it here, they won the ball back. Segura, Gonzalez, back heel, Yelovitz, Gonzalez scores!
And then getting the hockey assist, if you will, on Kyrell's highlight finish. And speaking of highlight finishes, to the far side and into the top of the net.
Ruggles on his back, Canali smashes it off the glass, loose ball, Keats fires and scores!
Goncalves trying to D up Bennett to the near side.
Yeah,
steered, that was so quick.
Here's Michaud again. Cuts it back on his left. Oh, he only scores bangers. Jeff Michaud with another top corner strike.
Here's Leo.
That's totally what I was going to say.
Leo on the soul roll. Leo scores!
How about it?
Down the corner it goes, and that is Sandovari. Unreal shot. I don't know how that spin happens, but he just didn't get all of it. Ends up working out.
Finding Oteze, who fields it off the wall and moves up the right flank. Oteze to the corner, a blast and a goal! Oteze has given Mesquite a 1-0 lead. That one chipped to the far post and Farber heads it in.
What a play.
Segura stepping middle, shoots and scores! Flight number 8 has been cleared for launch.
That goes right back out to Pablo. Touched by Almeida, and he scores! Lucas Almeida, just a little touch, and it makes it 4-2. Beautiful.
I mean,
Well, and then what's the message you send to the opposing team if you pick this? Look at this play.
That heel by Mello is a goal.
That's a great little bit of skill and imagination right there.
Under a minute now left to go. Charlie Gonzalez! You better believe he's 100% healthy now.
Los costados. Y es Común, que disparo y el gol. Descórame.
16 of 32. Here's Duduka front and center, takes one touch, fires it, and hits a top shelf over Neto.
Had a chance to redirect. Now Bennett gets it back. Bennett, nice little move there. Bennett shot a goal! Ian Bennett!
Campos. Caceres down low. Hansen comes back off the boards and the easy cash in. Nick Pereira on a brace.
Childs blasts it. Oh, what a strike from Craig Childs.
Will be taking it. Drop back to Duca. Unbelievable goal! Oh my goodness, to Duca!
Frank Tayu, a lot of room.
Yeah.
And he does make them pay off of the right foot.
Chips it to Huffman, bangs it off the board, in front, shot the goal! Andre Haynes from Huffman! It's 2-0 Milwaukee!
Disparo rebanado. La vuelve a meter a la disparó. ¡Gol!
Ventaja el equipo de casa, ya recupera Avendaño, disparo de Avendaño, golazo de Jesús Alberto Avendaño para poner el 4-3, ¡qué disparo!
And now comes the other side against Mashad. Keita fakes the shot, sends Mashad, and it's going to go in. Ibrahima Keita.
On the far side toward DePrima.
Oh, that's a brilliant turn into space. Wide of Waltman, and tucking it away is Tavoy Morgan.
Oh, what a goal! Woo! What a goal from Frankie Siliberto! You've got to be kidding me!
Sports Center, are you watching?
On the bicycle kick!
From Almeida, Walls plays it down, back
good play.
heel flick.
Oh.
Almeida, Duduka blasts it home, and it's tied up.
All right, Caceres stepping in on the left. Now for Ramos, has a go, it scores! Mike Ramos, his second of the night.
Flanks to protect the goalkeepers in this game, and you understand it. Here's Ruggles. Pretty move at the yellow line. Ruggles shot. Goal!
What a great play.
On the near side, here comes Tavoy Morgan. Intercepting, in traffic, moves to his left, pulls the trigger, bullseye! Tavoy Morgan tickles the twine.
Que haber terminado con el equipo de Baltimore Blast, yo creo que es un reconocimiento para cualquier jugador de rápido. ¡El gol!
36-year-old out of Monrovia, Liberia, and the shot is scored.
Villegas and Jelvigas, they pass it around. Gonzalez fakes the shot, then takes it, knocks it into the top corner, and the power play goal.
Draws the slide, Pereira, back post, Ramos is there. Ramos shoots and scores! Mike Ramos!
Aligwe, both ex of the Dallas Sidekicks. Here's a lovely pass. Farber off the wall, back to Leo. Leo holding, top of the key. Leo shooting, scoring!
Back post. Marcio. Far side Chino. Chino will shoot Angel Curiales Chino!
Gonzaga, who plays it off the boards. Here's Gerson shot. Go!
Don't forget, Milwaukee's next game will be in Kansas City Friday as LSO fires a bomb in from the left point.
One more shot. Jurado fires and scores the opening goal of the contest with 1 second left on the power play.
Monterey pestering. Oh, and here's the shot, number 5, the goal! Hector Vallejo ties it up.
In the right wing corner. It's Gibson through the area, and guess who? Kevin Ellis again! Off the restart. Second goal by Kevin Ellis.
Scored 3 goals in the opener and hasn't scored since. Quick shot here to go!
The experience makes a mistake. They don't. Oh, great.
Oh, he makes them pay for the mistake.
There it is.
Show it off, Gary.
En el movimiento de Barreras, el disparo. ¡Golazo de Calles! ¡Qué manera de prender el balón de pierna derecha!
Here comes Ramos. He splits 2 defenders. Gamboa not able to make the stop, steering around the keeper and scoring the goal is Ramos.
Wide Berto making a bid for the first one of the year. There's Gibson!
Wide open.
Top shelf where Grandma keeps the cookies.
Great pass in from Lewis. Hopefully we'll see it on the replay.
Ball movement finds Tony Walls down by the yellow line, off the boards, and a good save by Misner. Then the rebound taken by Tony Walls. Are you kidding me? He just would not give up on that play, was determined.
As the Utica backstop, Toby Segura scores!
Willie Milano scored for the Sidekicks, and his son goal by Pereira. There you go.
Wow, there's Pereira. He turns, faces, and shoots. And just like that, Tacoma is within 3.
Lays it off to the right wing side. A one-timer, and that's our goal! Dallas is to within a goal. Segura from distance fires one in.
The Express still have it. Makes it to this right. Gonna take a shot at the goal.
Gonzaga. Again, yellow line shot.
Start trying to get the foul there and doesn't do so. Here's Tyler. It could be for the Fury. Gonna take around the shot. Goal!
Oh, here's Leo Gibson. Rio on the defense. My goodness, what a play! Shot and score. Leo Gibson with Rio draped over the back of him. What an impressive play. I don't even know how he got that shot off.
That's an absolute laser beam.
Aragon wide, second chance, off the post and cross. No, it's in. Wow. Oh, so hard it went in and out. Touched over to JT, the shot, he scores! The Englishman, JT Thomas, wins it in overtime.
All around, you see how the defense is responding. Probing for the weakness, comes inside for Cox! Jamil Cox with the back heel!
Of the net, kept alive by Sari. Now Gibson, the shot, and that is an unbelievable shot by Leo Gibson into the top corner.
Dantas. Good cut. Shot, goal. Oh, come on. Vinny Dantas, number 5, and it's 11-3.
Malella in the corner. Gibson around the boards, right side. He shoots and scores. Dominic Francis with the hat trick.
You mentioned he's one of their 4 originals. He and Diggs, and coming right down Main Street is Antonio Manfoot. Dealing against Ricardinho. Lays it off. Faker with a shot to goal! Oh, Guilherme! Postage stamp to make it 2-1 Milwaukee.
Off of a defender in front. Yelovitz holding it up after sliding by a defender. Diegas shoots and scores! Turnaround city for Ricardo Diegas.
Caceres switching the field, in for Pereira on the volley! Nick Pereira!
arquero no supo ni cómo. El centro, Vaca.
Time up ahead in this booth. Duarte pressuring from behind, and they walk right at Oliveira. Like right down Broadway. And its head goes wide, and then Paulo falls down. Bennett reconvenes, trying to shot down, bicycle kick, he scores! Are you kidding me? Ian Bennett putting on a show.
Nascimento acting as the sixth attacker, fires one! Nascimento! Shazam!
Sixth attack. Learn about his futsal skills. That was an unbelievable shot. Can you imagine?
Take a look at that pick right now. We're going to do it before and after. Here's the long run and the goal. Beautifully done. Hello. Oh.
De hace 2 temporadas, Torres González. El disparo, golazo.
¡Gol! De impulso, aquí viene de pierna zurda, mete el disparo. Golazo de Damián García. ¡Qué poder de verdad el balón!
Peruzzi over top. There it is. Oh, what a bullet. Peruzzi from long range.
Sosa stops, weak side, one-time score. Kansas City comes into Utica and upsets Utica City FC.
Acábalo tú. Bien, Boris, el contrarremate. ¡Gol! ¡De Monterrey! ¡Qué gol, señoras y señores! Y eso tiene finish fatality para San Diego. And that's going to wrap up our final episode of MASL Primetime. Just a reminder, in the offseason, you can keep up to date with what's happening with the league by going to maslsoccer.com. And there's all kinds of social media to keep you connected as well. I'm Alex Bastyovansky. Thank you so much for watching MASL Primetime this season. Stay healthy and safe, everyone. We'll see you next year.